The Racine Rocket lost his bid for 38 consecutive hits this afternoon when an attack of food poisoning brought about by a tin of tainted anchovies caused him to ground into a double play against Joplin in the 11th inning after having hit safely in his first 5 at-bats. "I thought they were sardines," mumbled the sheepish Banks as he was carried off the field with a fever of 104. Asked where he had learned such stamina, the 19-year-old third sacker retorted, "In the 3 C's, Civilian Conservation Corps. Unless you were dead, you kept going." After the divorce, my mother moved us from a largely Hasidic community in Williamsburg to an old brownstone at the corner of Bedford Avenue and Montgomery Street, where the mailboxes in the vestibule presaged the special fabric out of which my adolescence was to be woven. Corelli, Verastro, Fiori, Bierman, DiCicco, Fazaro, Del Vecchi, Margolis. This told me all I needed to know. Of course, as the newly appointed resident Jew, I couldn't be entirely certain what recreational activities the neighborhood was willing to offer, but I had a pretty decent hunch that bleeding was among them. Not that my mom or my Aunt Carrie did much to promote my cause. They openly lit Shabbos candles on San Gennaro Day, walked to shul through the Our Lady of Pompeii Street Festival, and helped feed the Italian-American war widows with a tray of stuffed derma and potato knishes. The day we unpacked, I figured conservatively that I had a week left to live. One look at Lenny Bierman, and I pared my estimate by half. But I was determined to fit in. Get it, Margolis? Sheenies walk on that side of the street. Splat! Banks clips Association's top tomato. Chicago, Illinois, December 18th. On a ballot that surprised absolutely no one, the Midwestern Association today unanimously voted Charles Banks the 1937 Henry Chadwick Award, marking only the second time in the league's 61-year history that the honor has gone to a rookie. Turkey Mike Donlin in 1898 was the first. 20-year-old Banks was notified via telegraph at his home in Racine, Wisconsin, and purportedly wired back, "Who in hell is Henry Chadwick?" Springfield Blue Jackets officials have turned down several lucrative offers for purchase of the rookie's contract, including a bid from the Brooklyn Dodgers, which purportedly involved the... By the time I turned 12, the Dodgers made me vomit. There was a popular misconception floating about the borough that they were lovable losers. For my money, one might just as easily have dispensed with the adjective altogether and developed a much clearer rotogravure of the truth. They had neither brains nor breeding, forgivable shortcomings in and of themselves, if perhaps they had owned even one shred of talent. But they didn't have that either. What they had was a hartebeest at first named Dolph Camilli, a hop-o'-my-thumb at short they christened Pee-wee and thought it cunning, and something at third base called Cookie Lavagetto. Nobody had the balls to ask why. Then there was Craig Nakamura's idol, Leo DeRocher, who plainly belonged behind bars, at a precinct house or an animal sanctuary. The need to distinguish was purely moot and predicated solely upon space availability. All things considered, and given the way my luck was running, about the last thing I needed was a bedroom window that overlooked Ebbets Field, and the only hurdy-gurdy in Flatbush. Leave us go root for the Dodgers, Rogers. They're playing ball under lights. Leave us cut out all the juke joints, Rogers. Them Dodgers is my gallant knights. Of course, it never would have occurred to me that my father's lifelong passion for the damned team might have had something to do with my utter loathing for them. This, after all, was 1940, and we hadn't heard about pop psychology in those days. The only thing I knew for sure was that I wasn't going to be finding any heroes in Brooklyn. So I looked where I could. But the results were kind of disappointing. The White House, February 14th, 1940. Dear Joseph, President Roosevelt has asked me to respond to your most recent letter and to assure you that he, too, is keeping an eye on Denmark. No doubt you will understand that it is far too premature to consider...